Hey everyone, this is Paul. Today we have our VIP guest with us, Mr. Mitchell Levy. He is a global credibility expert. He is a keynote speaker, coach, strategist, and author. So, sir, I would like to welcome you to this interview, and I would like to thank you for giving us your valuable time. So, if you can just tell our viewers
You're welcome.
little bit about yourself, please.
So I have I've sat on the board of a public company for 9 years. I've started 20 companies. I've been in Silicon Valley for 35 years. I've written 60 books, published over 850 books, started 4 executive business programs, created 4 conferences during the dot-com days, ran conferences for companies like Comdex. A lot of fun stuff. What I've done in the last year is I've interviewed 500 thought leaders on credibility and have recognized that the definition of credibility in the dictionary is wrong. So I will fix that, bring new words to the marketplace, and start a movement focused on living in a world that is much more credible, living in a world that is that much more fun, living in a world that is one in which I think as humans we desire to get to, but we don't know how to get to.
All right, so there'll be a lot of learning from you, sir. And yes, we do need some sort of a word like this where we live happily, and let's understand how we can achieve that. So a little bit about this survey, sir. I think you should know the objective of this survey is like we have been interviewing business owners and professionals across the industries to understand how they, through their leadership skills, are combating this situation and what is their future prediction of the economy and what are the strategies should business houses like big business houses and should implement to recover from this economic downturn. This survey report will be published in our annual report and will be circulated among all the interviewees. And we've got stupendous response from several brands and corporates, and I'm looking forward to learn a lot from you as well. So if you're ready, I will start asking you the questions.
Please.
Thank you, sir. So, my first question would be: have you ever faced any such times as this before?
I think I think the world is in uncharted territories, at least for those people who are living today. Have I faced such times like this? Yes. During the dot-com days, my speaking and consulting revenue, which I was doing extremely well because I was focused on e-commerce. One day it was beautiful, and the next day it went to zero. So yeah, I've faced times like this before.
All right, yeah. Like, have you? So during that time, whatever you've learned, I mean, kind of, you got into you got into a lot of problems. You somewhat learned a lot of things, how to come out of this. So, do you? Is it helping you during this time as well?
Yes. So there were 2 big lessons that came out of that time frame. The first, well, you have to recognize that it's not you, right? When life changes and the things are out of control, when they're out of your control and there's nothing you can do, it's not personal. The second, you should always have multiple revenue streams, because where your company may be doing extremely well in one component at one point in time, it could change overnight. Like any sports franchise who relied on people physically being at their event, the world changed overnight. Whereas those people, those firms that relied on online, like DocuSign, like Zoom, those firms are doing amazing. And so what I think, if you take those 2 together, A, it's not personal. B, always have multiple revenue streams. What you should be thinking about is, if you can add one of the core components of if I'm thinking about the new definition of credibility, one of the core components is always be coachable, always be at the stage where you could learn from others. And the question is, where pre-COVID, what could you have done differently that positions you in a better spot than you are now? Post-COVID, you have to recognize the world is never going back to where it was. If you still think it's going to go back to where it was, where it's been, that's not going to happen. So you're still dreaming. So the question becomes, What can you do? Because everything needs to change. And I'll just be very clear, the way companies are running today, the way they exist, what I will say is we are still in the industrial age. I know everyone says we got past that, but all we've done is taken the tools and technology that exist in now what people call the internet age. We've just taken those and extended what happens at a quicker rate in the industrial age. When we get to whatever the next generation is, and in the upcoming book that I've got coming out called Credibility Nation, we talk about that. And I talk about where we're going. When we get there, what's interesting is we're living in a different world, a different paradigm. And what happens is, I'll leave with one thought. When I went to MBA school, I learned about this thing called customer service. And it was absolutely beautiful what customer service and what it meant. That means we cared about our customers. When I entered the world, every corporation I worked for did not give a hoot about their customers. They cared about making money. They never listened. They pretended to listen to, but nobody listened to customers. Well, guess what? You not only need to listen to your customers or else you go out of business, you need to listen to your employees because they're regular individuals. So if you want to think about as a large company, how you could be successful tomorrow, instead of a company with 100,000 employees, think of your company having 50 employees and 999,950 1099s. And if you could pull something out, by the way, ignore tax code. If you could pull that off, I'm not actually asking you to ignore the tax code, but if you could pull something like that off, what do you need inside your organization? You need the ability to allow to be able to gather all those 1099s and make them feel like they're part of the company. That doesn't exist at companies today. That's what needs to go into play.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that is really great learning, and it is really insightful, sir. So I'm moving on to my next question. So we all face challenges every time whenever we are getting into new things, or we are starting our career, we are middle of a career, we do see challenges. But right now we are facing some new challenges, and we don't know how these challenges will going to take place in future as well. So do you see challenges in future, and are you prepared for that? And how do you advise our viewers to prepare for the challenges?
So 4 questions there. Do I see challenges today? Yes. Do I see challenges in the future? Yes. How do I prepare for challenges? To recognize that whatever exists today will disappear tomorrow. And how do you prepare for it? You got to recognize that there is no longer an opportunity to have a cash cow you can milk forever. And so you got to figure out who your clients are. You got to figure out who your employees are. I'll bet you don't know either of those. And once you figure that out, figure out how you could serve them both. And when you could do that, now you're creating a place that people want to work at. Now you're creating a place that people want to be part of. Now you're creating a place that has much more sustainability. Physically, what you do, that's almost irrelevant.
All right. Yeah, that's a good piece of advice, sir. And this is definitely going to help my viewers. And so moving on to my next question again. So this is we have already talked about this a little bit about this. So it's more like a statement, and I need to understand what's your view on this. Industries connected to IT domain operation directly or indirectly have managed to sustain this pandemic. So do you agree on this?
Well, you're acting as if the entire world has had a hard time. And the answer is no. There are many industries and many companies that have been more successful, and anything associated with security and online has done extremely well.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, sure. Uh, Now, my next question would be, sir, it is on a macro level. So, how do you see the economy in near future, economy of the United States and as well as the whole world in near future?
It typically in the world when I lived in the past, and my focus was uh, to poll people and do economic surveys of what's going to happen. That would be something I would talk about. It's not something I talk about, so I don't feel comfortable making a prediction. I would just say that for those who run a business today, the types of the types, we've not even begun to feel the ramifications of the where the world is today. So sit back, take a look, recognize that life will change significantly.
All right. Yeah. The change is something which is going to be constant for some time, and we need to adjust with the changes and we need to pivot. All right. So, my next question, or rather, I want to, I want rather my all my viewers would need to understand how you during this testing time are helping your clients to combat or come out of this situation, and what are the areas you're actually focusing to help them during this time.
So the primary focus is to create a entity called Credibility Nation. And what I'm bringing to market is the opportunity for people to truly benefit themselves, do the best they can, be the best they can be for themselves and for their peers around them. And so we're whether if you've seen this after the inaugural event, it's October 9th and 10th. We will every 6 months run a particular summit focused on what we're doing and where we're going, and continue to provide tools to the marketplace. And I just continue to grow the tools and services that are either directly provided by us or people that we work with who then become members of Credibility Nation.
All right. So we will be sharing some more information on this along with this video. My last question, or again, it's not a question, it's like a study, and I need to understand your view on this. A study says that keeping a remote executive assistant or a virtual assistant during this testing time can save your time and money and can help you grow your business even faster than ever. It's like, hiring a team at a price of a fractional employee. So what's your take on this?
So I never make promises and don't actually like companies that promise double-digit growth or whatever unless they're showing it and backing up with their guarantees. So let's put it a different way. If you're running a business and you don't have enough time to do everything you need to do, and you're spending too much time in your business and not working on your business. So if you're the CEO of a company, you shouldn't be practicing your trade. What you should be doing is you should be figuring out how to make sure your employees are happy, how to make sure your customers are happy, how do you get more prospects in the door. You're the rainmaker. And so you can't do it all. And having people to support you is always a great way to go. We've been using for our firm, I think my longest lasting virtual admin I've had for 11 years, so much so that I just look at her as part of the company. And so we've been using people for that for quite a while. And what you have to recognize is most companies that deliver that service, they're just giving you a body. And so that means you have to have the processes in place to be able to allow those people to be effective to do what they do. If you don't have the processes in place, you want to look for the type of firm that trains their people in the processes that are very similar to what you want to do. And that's a beautiful way. So on the roadmap for Credibility Nation, we will be delivering credibility virtual admins, not in the initial release, but a release going forward. And it's just, in that case, for those people looking for credibility, it will be admins that are specifically trained on helping you become more credible. So if, depending on what business you're in, if that's interesting to you, then that's on our roadmap. If you're interested in something else, for instance, IT, and you're an IT person, you don't like doing any of the stuff like meetings or sending all the stuff, having a firm that could do that for you, that's been trained to make that happen, those are great things to have. So just make sure that you recognize there's no, what's the right word? There's nothing, you can't just snap your fingers and life works. What you got to do is look at things realistically and go, okay, I'm spending 110% of my time. What if I let somebody take 30% of the time I'm spending today to do the menial stuff that I don't really like doing anyhow? Well, you can't just manually talk to them and say, do it. You have to have processes. It has to be documented. And assuming you do that, then it's an absolutely beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's the whole idea of keeping a virtual assistant to shadow you and to do your work, so that you can focus on your mainstream of your business. I mean, the front end of your business, and back end there is somebody who will take care of everything for you. And he or she can be virtual, or the our company can be virtual and placed in a different part of the world, but then it can be taken care of. So that's a really great learning again. So obviously, sir, thank you for your time, and this was insightful and educative. Your views will really add a lot of values to our survey. So we are going to run this survey for another couple of weeks to a month, and once the survey is over, I'm going to share this survey report with you, and I'm going to send you the video for your approval. Once that is done, we can we can just publish it. Thanks for your time, sir.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for sharing, and may you always live in a life of credibility.
Thank you,
Thanks.
sir.
Take
Thanks a
care.
lot. Bye bye.
All right. Bye now.